Have you ever tasted the sweet, soft flavor of a ripe banana in the morning, and shortly after noticed that your movements became slower and stiffer? Simple activities like buttoning a shirt or holding a glass became almost impossible, and you never imagined that this common fruit that everyone considers healthy could be worsening your Parkinson's symptoms. This is the reality that many patients face daily without even realizing that something as innocent as a banana can directly interfere with the effectiveness of your main Parkinson's medication. Levodopa silently compromising your mobility and quality of life. Each bite of that seemingly harmless fruit may be creating a chemical barrier that prevents your medication from taking effect, leaving you trapped inside your own body for hours on end. I understand this situation because I have been following hundreds of Parkinson's patients for more than 15 years and have seen how small changes in diet can make a huge difference in these people's lives. And today I will share a scientific discovery that can completely change your routine and restore much of your independence without increasing medication doses or resorting to expensive and complicated treatments. Imagine being able to enjoy a peaceful breakfast without fear of becoming rigid in the next few hours, being able to plan your day with more confidence and live with more freedom, just by avoiding a food interaction that few doctors explain to patients. Keep watching, because I'm going to reveal exactly how bananas affect the absorption of your medication and what safe alternatives you can include in your diet to maintain nutritional benefits without harming your treatment. Before we begin, I would like to know where you are watching from today. Leave a comment below. And feel free to ask any questions you have about Parkinson's or how your diet can help or hurt your treatment. Your feedback is very important to us. First, let's understand why bananas can be a problem for those taking levodopa. Among the many fruits available for consumption, bananas stand out as one of the most popular and accessible in many countries. But what few know is that there is a specific chemical interaction between bananas and levodopa that can drastically reduce the effectiveness of the medication. But how exactly do bananas affect people with Parkinson's? Let's explore together. When you take levodopa, it needs to be absorbed in the intestine and reach the brain to be converted into dopamine, neurotransmitter that is lacking in people with Parkinson's. Scientific research has shown that banana juice made with fresh fruit can significantly reduce the bioavailability of levodopa in the body. That is the amount of medication that actually reaches the brain to take effect. In a study published in medical literature, when levodopa was administered together with fresh banana juice, there was a decrease of up to 50% in the maximum concentration of the medication in the blood. This means that half of the dose you take may be being wasted if consumed along with fresh banana. But why does this happen? Bananas contain an enzyme called polyphenol oxidase that interacts directly with levodopa and accelerates its degradation in the digestive system, even before it can be absorbed and reach the brain where it is needed. This same enzyme is responsible for the browning of the banana when it is cut or mashed, and curiously, it is also responsible for interfering with your Parkinson's medication. So when you take your medication along with banana or right after consuming this fruit, the polyphenol oxidase begins to work immediately, degrading part of your medication and reducing its therapeutic effect. This explains why many patients notice a more intense and prolonged off period after consuming bananas with their medications. As a doctor specializing in Parkinson's, I can state that many of my patients report a significant worsening of symptoms when they consume bananas close to the time of taking levodopa, while others have never made this connection and continue to suffer without understanding why. But does every person with Parkinson's need to completely eliminate bananas from their diet? Not necessarily. What we need is to understand the right time to consume this fruit so that it does not interfere with the absorption of the medication. Levodopa usually has an absorption time of 30 to 60 minutes and remains active in the body for a few hours depending on the formulation. Therefore, the ideal is to wait at least 2 hours after taking the medication to consume banana, thus giving enough time for levodopa to be absorbed before the polyphenol oxidase from the banana can interfere. Another important point is that this interaction seems to be stronger with fresh bananas and their natural juices, but less pronounced with commercial products that contain small amounts of processed banana, such as some industrialized beverages. This is because industrial processing often reduces the activity of the polyphenol oxidase enzyme. Before moving on to the next topic, I want to open a space for something extremely valuable: your own experience. Have you ever noticed any relationship between consuming bananas and feeling a worsening of your Parkinson's symptoms? You know that feeling that the medicine simply didn't work after eating this fruit? Sometimes the best observations come from those who live the reality of the disease every day, not from books or clinical studies shared with us in the comments. You can simply copy and complete the phrase after eating a banana. I noticed that your contribution may seem small to you, but it might be exactly what someone else has been looking for months or years. I've seen people transform their lives after learning tips from other members of our community in the comments, and this is more powerful than any advice I can give alone. Let's make this space a true bank of collective wisdom, where everyone learns and grows together. Now, let's continue with our second technique that perfectly complements what we just saw before continuing with our next method. I want to extend a special invitation to you if you or someone you love is facing the daily challenges of Parkinson's and is looking for reliable information based on science, but explained in a simple way. This channel was created especially for you. Here we regularly share practical strategies, exercises, and tips that have helped hundreds of people regain small and large independences in daily life. Click the subscribe button. Now it's completely free, and this way you won't miss any technique that could make a difference in your quality of life or that of your family member. Now let's continue with the second strategy that promises to bring significant relief for those suffering from the interaction between food and medications. Now let's talk about the interaction between proteins and levodopa, which is another fundamental aspect for those with Parkinson's. You've probably heard that proteins can affect the absorption of levodopa, but few explain exactly how this happens and what to do about it. Among the many nutrients we consume daily, proteins stand out as essential for our health, but also as potential interference in the effectiveness of levodopa. This is because both levodopa and the amino acids from the proteins we ingest compete for the same transport system in the intestine and in the blood-brain barrier, which is the barrier that protects our brain. It's as if both were trying to pass through the same door at the same time, and inevitably one ends up blocking the passage of the other when we consume excess proteins, especially those of animal origin, such as red meat, chicken, fish, eggs, and dairy products. The amino acids from these proteins gain an advantage in the competition, unless levodopa manages to reach the brain to exert its therapeutic effect of relieving Parkinson's symptoms. This competition is particularly problematic because it can lead to prolonged and unpredictable off periods. Moments when Parkinson's symptoms, such as tremor, rigidity, and slowness, drastically worsen despite the person taking the medication correctly. This doesn't mean you should eliminate proteins from your diet. On the contrary, they are essential for maintaining healthy muscle mass and preventing the loss of strength that is already a risk for those with Parkinson's. The secret lies in the strategic distribution of proteins throughout the day in order to minimize their interference with levodopa. Here are some practical strategies that my patients have adopted with excellent results. Take your levodopa at least 30 minutes before meals or 1 hour after. This gives time for the medication to be absorbed before proteins come into play. Avoid concentrating protein consumption at breakfast and lunchtimes, when you need levodopa to be working well for your daily activities. Instead, leave most of your protein intake for dinner, when you will be closer to retiring for sleep and the need for mobility is less. Divide your protein consumption into small portions throughout the day. Instead of having meals very rich in protein, this reduces competition for absorption at any specific time. Another interesting strategy is to prefer vegetable proteins such as legumes, nuts, and seeds, which seem to interfere less in the absorption of levodopa compared to animal proteins. Controlling this balance between proteins and levodopa can make a dramatic difference in your quality of life, reducing off periods and allowing you to maintain a more predictable and functional lifestyle. Now we come to the third and perhaps most important point of this video: safe alternatives to banana and how to create a meal plan that optimizes the effectiveness of your Parkinson's medication. Fruits are essential components of a healthy diet, especially for those with Parkinson's, as they provide fibers, antioxidants, and nutrients that help combat constipation, a common problem in the disease that can affect the absorption of medications. Fortunately, there are many excellent options that do not interfere with levodopa and still bring additional health benefits. Among the best alternatives to banana, we can highlight red fruits such as strawberry, blueberry, blackberry, and raspberry, which are rich in antioxidants and have shown neuroprotective potential. In scientific studies, these fruits contain compounds that combat oxidative stress in the brain. one of the mechanisms involved in the progression of Parkinson's. Other excellent options include apples, pears, grapes, citrus fruits, such as orange and tangerine, pineapple, papaya, and watermelon. All these fruits provide important nutrients without the polyphenol oxidase enzyme that makes banana a potential problem. To create an optimized meal plan for those with Parkinson's, it is important to consider not only what you eat, but also when you eat in relation to the times of your medication. Here is a suggestion of organization for a typical day. First, take your dose of levodopa right upon waking with plain water. Wait about 30 minutes, and then have a light breakfast with fruits such as apple or orange. Whole grain bread with a little jam and tea or coffee for the morning snack. Prefer red fruits or oilseeds such as walnuts and cashews, which are rich in omega-3, a nutrient with anti-inflammatory properties, for lunch. Take your dose of levodopa 30 minutes before the meal, and then opt for a plate with leafy vegetables, whole grains, and a small portion of protein, preferably of vegetable origin such as beans, lentils, or chickpeas. For the afternoon snack, fruits such as pear, grape, or pineapple are excellent options for dinner, which can be the meal with the highest protein content of the day. Consider including a moderate portion of animal protein such as fish, chicken, or rarely red meat, along with vegetables and complex carbohydrates. Remember that adequate hydration is essential for the absorption of levodopa and for proper intestinal functioning. So stay hydrated throughout the day, preferably with water, and avoid sugary drinks. Following these guidelines can make a significant difference in the stability of your symptoms and the effectiveness of your drug treatment. Many of my patients report an impressive reduction in off periods and greater predictability in controlling symptoms simply by adjusting their diet. In this way, it's like having an additional treatment that is free and without side effects for people with Parkinson's who seek to improve quality of life and optimize the effectiveness of medication. The strategy of avoiding bananas close to the time of levodopa, strategically organizing protein consumption, and including alternative fruits rich in antioxidants offers a complementary approach to drug treatment that can make all the difference in daily life. These small changes in your menu are not just about avoiding problems. They are about empowering you to have more control over your condition and live with more freedom and independence. Remember, the goal is not to restrict your diet to the extreme, but to make smart choices that work in favor of your treatment instead of against it. If this video brought any hope or useful information to you, I would like to invite you to be part of our support community here on this channel. Living with Parkinson's presents unique challenges that often only those who go through them really understand. By subscribing to our channel, you will have access to new videos every week with specific techniques for each symptom of Parkinson's, from exercises to improve balance to strategies to reduce morning stiffness. Our commitment is to bring content that really makes a difference in your daily life, filtered and tested by experts, but explained in simple and direct language. Many of our subscribers report that small changes learned here have transformed their independence and confidence. To subscribe is very simple. Just click the subscribe button below this video, and then the bell to be notified when we publish new content. Remember, you are not alone in this journey, and every step counts. We want to follow and support your advances and celebrations. Every small victory matters, and we are here to help you achieve many of them. Thank you for being with us today, and we hope to see you in our next video. Take care.